Hello, friends. It is your girl, Monica Wisdom, with the Monica Wisdom podcast, and I am here with the late edition. I wanted to make sure that you got this on time, and I tell you what, this is a great conversation that you and I are about to have. I want to talk about something that has really been touching my heart, and I think we need to talk about it, like have a real conversation. Because I'm seeing a lot of women, Black women especially, and it's a constant thing. I'm tired. So we're going to talk about the weight of that tiredness throughout this conversation. But before we get into that, I have to talk about this confession. I believe that I am a theater kid at heart. I think that the role of theater kid is my calling. A 12-year-old theater kid who does plays at school, and everybody comes to see her, and she's not very good, but she's real passionate about it. That's me. That's my inner being. That's truly who I am. And where I discovered that was last night. I was watching the Tonys. That is my show. Of all the award shows that happen, from BET to the Oscars, my show is the Tonys. I love theater. My mother was a musician. I call her a musician teacher, but she was a teacher who also played instruments. But her love at home, music, 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 music. And she infused that into me. My Aunt Christy plays. They used to do, my Aunt Christy and my Aunt Christy's my mom's sister. They're maybe 2 years apart. I'm not sure. I don't remember if they're 2 years apart or a year apart. But anyway, they were raised by my grandfather and grandmother. And no. My great grandmother and grandfather. And they both played piano, and they did dueling piano. So my Aunt Chrissy said there was one piano in one room and one piano in another room, and they would have to play with each other. And they traveled around the country and did competitions. So they were musicians, traveling musicians. I don't know if they got paid or they didn't get paid or they went to play contests, or I'm not clear. I'll have to ask her. But my mother loved musical theater. So every summer, we spent almost the whole summer at the Muni. Back then, I think it was called the Muni Opera House when I was a little girl. And it's an outside theater, but they had big theater productions, Broadway productions. So I got to see Showboat, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Da, 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 da. I want to say Coming to America so bad, but that's not what it is. But just all of the big productions. And then I would sit up Saturday mornings while everybody else was watching cartoons. I was watching musicals on TV. So when I say I'm a theater kid at heart, I mean it. So I'm watching the Tonys. It's incredible. Cynthia Erivo is the host. She did a beautiful job. Beautiful job. I didn't realize she had watching. I haven't really gotten into Cynthia since, only because I'm into her now because I saw Wicked and I fell in love with that movie. I didn't see the play. I haven't read the book, but I fell in love with Wicked, the movie, and I think she did a phenomenal job. And then looking back over her career, because that's what I do, I get to research it on the Google. She's a theater lady. So she started her, Whoopi Goldberg saw her in London and suggested that she become the new Celie on Broadway. So that's how she got her start, was Miss Whoopi Goldberg. And anyway, she did a great job. But what stood out for me the most, and I'm saying this because it's relevant to this conversation, is the great Audra McDonald. When I tell you, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I have seen Prince, Michael Jackson. I've seen Audra McDonald on Broadway. I've seen Felicia Rashad on Broadway. I've seen theater my whole life. I've seen so many concerts of so many people across the world. And I have never seen a performance like that in my life. She embodied a care. I think she left the building. I do not think she was there. I really do not think she was there. There was the Tony Awards did backstage, so they were standing. Their social media was standing on the side of the stage, so you could watch her walk out. When she walked out, she looked like a whole different person. It was as if CGI had transformed her into a character, like a Marvel movie. She did not look like herself. She looked bigger. Her face was distorted. Like she truly, it reminded me of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. You know how the character was just, or the guy who played a long time ago with a movie with Cher called Mask. But they had prosthesis over his face. Prosthetics. Where did I get prosthesis from? Lord, I told y'all this is a late show. But prosthetics. She didn't have any of that. It was just her. Well, I don't know who it was. It was Gypsy Rose Lee, honey. It was somebody. It was not Audra McDonald who walked across that stage. And and her performance, her singing, her presence was mind blowing. When you have a theater full of theater people and they are saying nothing, but their eyes are big like little kids, you already know what it is. I watched it 10 times on the social media. I got up to this morning watching it again. I could not believe what I was seeing. Phenomenal. And what it brings to this conversation, it just adds so much texture. I put on my social media, I said, Audra McDonald not winning the Tony Award is everything you need to know about the journey of a Black woman. Audra McDonald's performance is everything you need to know about being a Black woman. Her portrayal of Gypsy Rose Lee. And I really want to emphasize that this conversation is a heart conversation. It's not a heavy conversation, but it's definitely a heart conversation. And it's been something that I've been pondering over for quite a while, really. And I didn't want to come to people in a radical way about it or be insulting. I want to be real tender about this conversation because I want people to hear me. And it's something that's very important to me because I really am in a place of our liberation. And I've been observing us since the election 2024 and how people have shifted, not serving, but how they serve. The pull back is not pulling away. The pull back is taking care of ourselves. And I've said that a million times. And I want to speak to something that's just something powerful that if we really get this conversation, I feel like there's going to be another liberation moment for us. And it's about the idea of charity. It's about giving and what it has meant to us as Black women, because we're givers. That's who we've been raised to be. We give our time, our brilliance, our creativity, our emotional labor, and we often do it without limits and without question. Sure. Oh, I got it. I'll do it. And we get praised for how much we carry, how much we endure, and how strong we can be in the face of everything. There was nothing more beautiful than watching With Love, Megan. And in God's timing, it came on right around the time of the election, and all of us were zoomed in on what soft living really looked like. And if you haven't listened to the 8-part series, The Soft Life is Political, please go back and listen to it, because all of this ties in together. And here's the thing. We get praised for how much we carry, what we can endure. I have to say this again. and how strong we can be in the face of everything. That's not cool. That's not cool. That is not okay. But what's never been centered in this whole narrative of strong Black woman is the idea of receiving or being cared for and returned. When people call us strong Black woman, they're really highlighting our ability to survive pain without complaining. The unspoken rule of give, endure, and never ask for more. My least favorite thing, be humble. Be humble is one of the most oppressive statements for Black women ever. Humble yourself to God, 100%. Humble yourself to humanity, hell no. Nope. This mindset creates a split within us. We live dual lives. And how do I know this? I was a hairstylist for 35 years. Do you know how many tears I have wiped from the eyes of Black women? Do you know how many conversations I've had with women and they can't get the words out because they're in so much pain? And I'm not talking about the people they show on TV. I'm talking about the women who are at the board meetings, who are at the PTA meetings, who are doing all of the things, and they have to do it right. And that disconnection between us and who we are at our core is what we feel because we think we're here to protect the world. We've been conditioned to believe that we're here to protect the world. And we are the protectors of the world. But how we're doing it is from a perspective of white supremacy. I said what I said. And this is not about not being generous. We want to be generous. And we truly are generous people. But I question this whole thing about charity. I question myself about it. I think about what our giving is rooted in. Is it rooted in a genuine desire, or is it conditioning? How much of it is tied to survival, and how much of it can be traced back to generational patterns that begin with enslavement? I started thinking about my own life, all the times I gave my time, my talent, my energy, my money, remembering all the chicken dinners I used to go to, the silent auctions, the countless events where I showed up because I believed I was supposed to. I believed that supporting a cause, being in the room, and giving what I could was how we build community. And in many ways, it is. I get it. I get it. Because here's the thing. I'm Gen X. Gen X, we didn't think about choices. Nobody asked us, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was more of, this is what you're going to do. My father wanted me to be a doctor, a podiatrist. He wanted me to be a podiatrist. I did not want to be a doctor. I have a scientific brain. I ended up going into the hair industry and using my scientific brain. I'm one of the best hair colors in the world. I can say that with my full chest because I understand the science of it because my dad taught me chemistry. But had no desire to be a podiatrist. So I was the rebellious one in the family. I didn't go to college. I embarked on my own adventure because the road my father wanted me to walk, I didn't want to do it. And I was like, no. But a lot of kids didn't have that choice. They walked in the direction that their parents wanted them to walk in. But back to the conversation, I digress. Over time, I realized in my own life, I was living a life centered in output, constantly pouring into others without leaving anything for myself. And I know that sounds counter to what I just said about I forged my own path. But even though I forged my own path in the hair industry, I still had these habits of giving to everyone else, whether it was a client, a coworker, a peer, all the people. Can you do this? Sure. I would be working on 10 projects at a time, not getting paid for any of them. That's a whole other conversation. And I was pouring into others so much, I was not leaving anything for myself. And I left. I had to. That way of living left me overwhelmed, tired, and at times completely depleted. It almost took me out of here once. I told you all about my trip to New Orleans when I had full-blown pneumonia and I kept pushing myself. And they didn't think I was going to make it home back to St. Louis. And what made it even more painful is I thought I was doing everything right. I thought everything I was doing, saying the yeses, doing all the things, was meant to make me look good, to make me be good. Because you talk about, you connected to church and how you're supposed to have a charitable heart and be giving and, build the kingdom and all of these things. But that's not the reality. That's not the reality of what we're doing. There is a place for building community, but it is not our job to only build a community and not build ourselves. We were raised to believe that the highest form of womanhood is service. Service. Let's break that down a little bit more. Not just service, but servitude. Now that takes us all the way back to enslavement. It takes us through Jim Crow. It takes us through reconciliation when we didn't have the ability to have other positions in life. When the only jobs we could be is a nurse or a teacher or cleaning somebody else's house or taking care of somebody else's baby. But we have far more choices now, and women have just forged out in different things. But the thing is we haven't released all of that comes with it. So we're out doing all these incredible, amazing things, but we still have all of that, the weight of the orders of Gen X. We still have that inside of us, and those programs are still running. So the thing is that what was missing from the equation is self-investment, being good to ourselves, and creating a life that feeds us back, right? Standards, boundaries, all of those good things. And that realization hit me hard when I watched Audra McDonald's performance of Gypsy Rose Lee, baby. And let me tell you what she was singing. I'm not going to sing it. I know. You want me to, but I'm not going to do it. My voice is not, I'm not prepared, honey. I'm not prepared. But let me give you the lyrics that really stood out to me. I'll just speak them. What did I do? What did it get me? Scrapbooks with me in the background. Give him love. And what does it get you? A quick look as each of them leaves you. They take bows and you're batting 0. I had a dream. I dreamed it for you. I've heard that song a million times, but that was the first time I heard that. It took my breath away. It took my breath away, and that song spoke to me so deep. Like it hit me at my core. And so many of us are carrying these lyrics if you get an opportunity to go watch it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This is just a small part of the song when she's about to just like break. And I know this. I've heard the stories, and it's been my own experience. Because here's the thing, how often have we planted our dream seeds in the gardens of others? How many times have we helped somebody else build something for themselves, believing that our support would eventually make space for our own growth? And how often do we look back and realize that while they took a bow, we were still standing in the shadows. We were still on the side of the stage. We don't ask ourselves these questions often enough, especially when we're tired or broke or just in survival mode trying to get through the day. Trying to get through the day. But that's when the truth hits the hardest. So let's talk about it in relation to money, right? Planting your seeds in somebody else's garden. What does that look like? We live at a time when everybody's focused on earning more, building wealth, and charging what they're worth. But for many Black women, charging our worth is still tangled up in that old charity mindset. How many times has someone asked you to go to lunch and they pick your brain and you agreed? Not because you had the time, but because you wanted to support their vision. One conversation that turned into a business for them. And maybe they said thank you in a text, if anything. And imagine if you had charged them a fee for that session and asked them for equity in that idea. I've seen it happen. I've seen people take my ideas, they pick my brain, and turn them into very lucrative businesses. And I did it at a time when I didn't even think about being a consultant. I didn't know that was available to me. I didn't know what it was. I never heard of it. I thought that was something that white men did. So had I had that information, because a lot of our issues are due to lack of information, maybe I would have charged for that time or said no. More importantly, said no. And then maybe I would have said, well, give me 10% of the company. And I'd be laying on the beach or having my trip to Paris that I would like to take every 3 months. So women charging our worth is tangled up in that old charity mindset. Now, listen, think about going to work. How many times have you gone to work that extra mile on that project? Staying up late, fixing every detail, making sure it's right, making sure everything ran smoothly, only for somebody else to get the credit, the bonus, and the promotion. And we ask again, what did I do and what did it get me? There's a quiet heartbreak happening that so many Black women carry. There's also this quiet rage nobody wants to talk about. We are overworked, we overdeliver, we overexert, and we are overextended because we're raised that we have to prove our value through action. And when we don't receive it in return, we internalize that. We question everything, including our worth. We convince ourselves that we just need to work harder, make it more perfect, do it better, and be Black excellence. Another term of oppression. I'll talk about that another time. But let me say this clearly. You are not here just to be useful for others. You are not here to be the background of your own life. It's okay to receive. It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to rest. It's okay to enjoy your life. And it's okay to take up space and be the bigness of who you are without guilt. And it's more than okay to profit from your brilliance. In fact, it's necessary, especially when we're living in times when people are trying to disappear us. You know what I say? Get louder. Don't fall in the background. Get louder, honey. Get louder, bigger, better. Not in the sense of be better than or to prove anything, but show your full self. Like Audra McDonald did on that stage. Baby, she showed her full self. You got to see it. I'm sure you have. And here's the thing. We need to move from a charity mindset to what is called sacred commerce. Sacred commerce is a value system where everyone benefits, where your energy is honored, and reciprocity is the foundation. Sacred commerce is not something or a way to get over on people. It's about honoring your gifts and allowing you to receive the fruits of your labor. This is not something I invented. It is out there. The first time I heard it was in 2008, when one of my master teachers, I have several, but Betty Spruill is the girl of the girl of the girl. All the self-help books, like she was before all of them, and they learned from her. And she's a Black woman from the Carolinas. So all this movement that you all see behind Jack Canfield, all these people behind the curtain is a Black woman named Betty Spruill, a little Black woman, petite Black woman, Betty Spruill from the Carolinas. And I was blessed to have her enter my world and teach me many things, many things that I'm still learning from now. Every time I see her, have an opportunity to spend time with her, I just cry because I thank her for she's one of the people who truly transformed my life and set me on a different path because she helped me see myself in a different way. And that's the genesis of my work. When I talk about, if you're on my email list, I talk about reframe your narrative. It's about seeing your story. People always want to reinvent you. I don't believe in reinvention because I think that the tools that we have to take us to the next level are embedded in our story. And I think that we just have to look at ourselves a different way not just because that's what worked for me, but I know it works. Because I've done a lot of things to try and heal, and the best thing I can do is look back, see where something started, heal from the genesis of it, and then walk it forward and create a new story. So that's the genesis of my work, FYI. I'm sorry if you hear my raggedy chair. I'm moving a whole lot. But I heard about sacred commerce from her, and it was during the recession, and she talked about these two cities in America that they were the only two cities that did not have a problem with recession. And it was because they were a community of small businesses. One was in California, one was in Texas. And what they did is they decided to only shop from each other. And so they didn't shop from Walmart or Walgreens, any of the big stores. They only shopped from each other. And so they would sell to the public during the week. And then on Mondays, they would shut their businesses down and they would all shop with each other. So all of the money that was being spent was spent within the community. That's why I'm a big proponent of supporting local businesses, because those dollars stay inside of the community. But that's where I learned about sacred commerce was from Betty. And sacred commerce is about everybody benefiting. A charity mindset is about everybody giving. That is necessary too. But when it comes to Black women, and I can only speak for Black women, I don't know the life experiences of Latino women. I know what I've been told. One of my best friends is Latino, but that's her experience. We have a lot of common factors, but I don't like to speak for other groups of women. That's just me. I'll never go into a chat room and say, well, all women, I don't know about all women. I don't know their experiences. I know my experiences with them, and I can speak on that. But I'm going to let y'all speak for yourself and let me speak for myself and let me speak to my sisters. So sacred commerce is a shift that I think that needs to happen with us. Because even though we have this generosity, we have to understand that we live in a capitalistic society. We, as much as you want to create a barter system, we don't have the capacity for a barter system because somebody has to buy the stuff to barter with. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a barter system and you sell tools and then you sell rice, I'm going to trade your rice for your tools. Well, that's not even because tools are going to cost much more. So somebody has to purchase in order to barter. So that's why we can't set up that system. Unless you're a homesteader and you're trading jam for eggs, but still somebody has to buy the chicken and somebody has to buy the seeds. So commerce happens, but sacred commerce is when it all comes together and everybody does well. I saw an example of this in two places, two cities. One is Bermuda. Bermuda does not allow any business to not be owned by a Bermudian. So although Bermuda is considered a Caribbean country, it's not. It's not in the Caribbean. It's actually right off of North Carolina. But people there are wealthy. So you don't see a lot of poverty there like you do in the Caribbean. And then Toronto. Toronto is a city that they invest in the arts. So if you buy a piece of art in Toronto, it's a tax deduction. So you can go buy a $5,000 painting and get a $5,000 tax deduction. And then the city gives grants for people to open businesses. If you agree to employ 1 or 2 or 3 people, they'll give you a $50,000 grant to start your business because they know small economics is really big economics. But anyway, sacred commerce is where everybody benefits. And if we take on that mindset, we can still give to people, but we open the door and open our hearts to receive. And then we're not depleted. We are not overextended because we're also taken care of and supported. You don't have to be burnt out to be valuable. You don't have to give yourself away to be seen as good. You're already good. So here's the thing. I'm going to close this out. I don't know how long this is. I'm not looking at the clock. But I just want you to understand that there is a different way of thinking where you can benefit too. I was just asked to be on a board of an art community in Oakland, California, which I'm excited, very, very excited about. But because of how I think now, I was really clear about the founder of my capacity because I don't ever want to be put in a position where I will resent her. I will be out of integrity with myself because I want to be able to do the things that I say that I will do. It might take some time, but I like to live in integrity. That's one of my values. And I want to be able to do my work and build my dream because I've spent years helping people build their dreams. If you ever read my resume, not my resume, my bio, you'll see probably about 50% of the things that I've done. I have not listed everything. Probably about 40% actually. But I wanted to be clear with her, but most importantly, clear with myself and set boundaries for myself because I'm an all or nothing person and I have the spirit of takeover and my brain works like a beautiful mind. And so if you say, okay, I want to get this done, my brain goes into full effect and I will go in overload. And then if it's not matched, it's not reciprocated, then I know I'm going to be pissed off. And I really like this lady and I don't want her to see St. Louis Monica. If you know, you know. So it's about really moving past that charity mindset, the mindset of servitude, the mindset where we believe in a value system that everyone benefits from your energy, time, genius, ingenuity, compassion, empathy, concern, caring, love, magic, all of those things without you also receiving it. And so that's my version of the soft life, is when we start receiving, right? Because when we're fed and we're nurtured, the Bible talks about we give of the overflow. We think we give of the cup. Our cup runneth over. It's like, no, we give of the overflow, not what's in the cup, but what spills over. What's in the cup is us, it's ours. And so there's a shift that is happening, and I love that it's happening because I've been talking about this forever. But I also want us to really look at charity. I'm going to give you an assignment. I want you to look up on the Google, or you can ask the Chat GTP now, Chat GPT, how much churches save by how much churches would have to pay if they had to pay for the volunteer work that was done. I looked it up one day. It was astounding. The amount of time and energy that we give to our churches, no shade on the churches, but shade on the churches and all to these organizations, they save millions and millions of dollars based off of our labor and generosity. Charities. I remember, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to move out of this whole conversation. I'm going to say goodnight. But I remember a friend of mine called me, dear friend, and his organization was having a national conference here. Now, I give an excellent party. I'm not going to call myself a party planner because I'm sure I do it all wrong, but I give a damn good party when I give one. I mean, it's off the chain because my imagination is crazy. I should work for Marvel. And he called me and he wanted me to do my party. At his event, he said, oh, we got to show off for these people. The national conference is coming in. They're coming in from there. Da, da, da. Millions of dollars were going to be spent. Not just from people coming into the city. The economy of the city was boosted because all of these folks were here, right? Hotels, food, cabs, all of the things. Conferences bring economy to cities. And I said to him, I asked one question. I said, what is your budget? Because I was at the beginning of this work on myself, right? I never asked that question before. If he had got me a year before, I would have never asked that question. I said, what is your budget? And what is the amount that you have to pay me to do it? Silence. Then he says to me, well, this organization runs off of volunteerism. I said, so the caterer is not going to be paid? You know me, I'm going to go. So when you rent the tables and chairs, the hotel's not going to be paid? Everybody's donating everything? He said, well, no, but I said, well, then when you get a budget, call me and we'll talk about it. I said, well, I will be glad to take a percentage of the budget, but I'm not going to do it for free, honey. I'm not going to do this for free. Because I know the expectation that he will have. And here would be the thing. He would pay for everything I said needed to be paid for. But he didn't want to pay me. I'm going to let you play that again. And then I want you to think about in your life where that has happened to you. Imagine if I had said yes. I would have put on this party that would have been, because I'm creative, I probably would have asked other people to help me to do it for free. Had he caught me a year before, so I would have gotten all this in-kind things. But at the end of the day, that party would have easily looked like $100 million party, not $100,000 party. Easy. Because, I know my stuff. But I'm saying all this to say that the shift from a charity mindset to sacred commerce opens up a whole new conversation within ourselves. It opens up a whole new conversation of how we do business, and it opens up a whole new conversation of how we deal with other people. It helps us to set our boundaries, and it also helps us to understand the power of our value, right? Our value, your value, what you bring to the table. You don't have to do it for free. You don't have to watch the Beyonce concert. That dress that lights up with the LED, that's a $600,000 dress. That dress, the team that runs that dress is from Japan. They fly around with her. Okay? She knows the value of herself. She's not having anybody half-step anything because of the life experience that she wants to create. And you're like, that's Beyonce, she can do it. She can do it because she made a commitment to herself to be the best. For herself, not just for her fans. That's how you build a legacy. You don't just do it for them. You have to do it for yourself. So I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast episode of the Monica Wisdom Podcast. And make sure that you check out the Next Chapter Journal. I'll put it in the show notes, a link where you can purchase it. And I want you to start doing the work that's in the journal. Answer the question with your full chest, with your full self, and be honest with yourself. Walk from the beginning to the end. And then I put the coloring book in there because sometimes it gets a little heavy and we'll want to go close the book or get on social media or get distracted and put it down and not get back to it. If it gets heavy, pull out some crayons, some colored pencils, some pencils. You want to order that off wherever you ordered from, or get your kids' crayons. And you want to start coloring because it'll clear your head. Every piece of this, it seems simple, but every piece of it is thought out. So if it gets too heavy, you start coloring and you tap into your imagination. Your mind opens up. When you start remembering things, you don't shut yourself down. You open yourself up. So that's the Next Chapter Journal. It's fantastic. It is fantastic, and I can't wait for people to see the new design. It's beautiful. It's silver and gold. It's lush. It's luxurious. It's what you deserve to have in your hands. But anyway, that's the theater kid coming out of me. That is that theater kid coming out of me, honey. Drama for the dolls. Anyway, I just want to say to you, thank you. And here's what I want you to take away. Your story is powerful. It has shaped your resilience, yes. But don't ever think that anything you have been in the past has to determine your future. You have the power to write your next chapter. You have the power to step to a new level of freedom and abundance that you never thought you could have. And freedom and abundance is not just about money. It's not just about flying off to Paris or going to get a manicure. It's about really being clear with who you are, being clear with what you want out of life, and being clear about the purpose you bring to the world. So again, I want to thank you for listening. If you have a friend who is going through all the things, please text her this episode. You can get the link. Wherever you're listening, you can get a little link and you can just send them directly to their text message. And check out the show notes. I'll have anything that I mention in here, I will put in the show notes so you don't have to go through the website. So the link will be wherever you're listening, the link will be there. And, start doing the work. Not all of it's hard. Not all of it's hard, but it's good work. What does Kamala say? Hard work is good work. Hard work is good work. It's good work. And I still do the work. I still do the work. I'll talk about that in the next episode. But anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for going through this transformation of the podcast with me. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm not here to just run my mouth, even though I like running my mouth. Like my aunt tells me, you talk a lot. I talk a lot to you. She is my mom. She's my mom on this earth. I have a mom in heaven and a mom on earth. She is my mom on earth. I say I talk a lot to you. But thank you. Let me get off there before I start singing Gypsy Rose Lee. Remember to watch her performance, and remember, be on a journey to being your full self and walking in your truth. Have an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon.